If you click on the link below and you go down to the bottom, there is now a helmet section, and you see some of the helmets I am recommending. I'm going to have a video coming up on helmets and what I think about them, why I recommend what I recommend. But overall, you can go there and shop. Obviously, if you don't know anything about helmets, then maybe you should hold off until that video comes out. This video is going to be the second installment I'm doing on the greatest upright bicycle ever made, which is the Space Frame Molten. If you are new to this channel, this is about small wheel rides, not just bicycles, but this particular video is an expansion on the previous video I did, which was about the molten space frame bicycle. If this is a topic that's interesting to you, feel free to follow. So the four topics I want to focus on this video is, the first one is the combination of a 20-inch wheel set with a rigid space frame, and why that would be a better combination than anything else you can see on the market. And this is partly based on the feedback I have received. The second one, I want to talk about why a separable frame might be better for you, whatever you are doing, depending upon what you're doing with the bike, than a folding bike. When you fold a bike, it's still the same weight. When you separate the frame, you are separating the weight. And then the third thing I forgot to mention in the last video was the availability of a windshield to the molten bike, some models, not all of them. And finally, I'd like to say a few words about the molten with the belt drive. Up in the comment that is it possible, is there any proof that a small wheel bicycle would climb better than a full-size bicycle? And somebody did a video with the Brompton and a pretty advanced state-of-the-art or close to that road bike taking it uphill. But before I show you the video, just look at the difference between the weight of these two wheels and how much more flaxy a big wheel is compared to a small one. So they go uphill, these two, and they start at the same point, but the Brompton overtakes the road bike fairly quickly, which is not a surprise. It's not a surprise because it is just much of the weight of your bicycle is the wheel, the two wheels that you have. So even though the guy in the rear is standing up and struggling, he's never going to catch up on an uphill unless there is some gearing advantage or something like that. And the Brompton the Brompton arrives a lot faster. But keep in mind that the Brompton is no match to the Molten. The main problem is there is no support for this long tube coming out, holding the seat and holding the body weight of the rider. There's also no support here in the front. And that is something the Molten bike solves by having an elaborate space frame network of little steel tubes that gives you a lot more support than even this bike. Even this bike has some flexing in the frame that the Molten does not have. And when you combine an exceptionally rigid frame with smaller wheels, obviously you do get a better result even than what you have seen in this video. I participated in some rides with full-size bicycle using my little scooter, this one. And when we started off the straight line, because these wheels are so teeny tiny and then the entire scooter weighs only 11 pounds, I actually darted out and accelerated much faster than any of the road bikes, any of the small wheel bikes, anybody, up to about 5 miles an hour. Now going past that, if you want to go faster than 5 miles an hour, then because you have no gearing, there's no way to really get it up to the speed of a bicycle. Eventually I fell back, obviously, but that just further demonstrates the importance of the weight and rigidness of the wheel. Of how to travel with your bicycle, how to pack it. And the folding bike is certainly successful in creating a compact package. So you have something that is a lot smaller and a lot more compact than a full-sized diamond frame bicycle would be. But if you have a 25-pound Brompton, it's still going to weigh 25 pounds even when folded. So when you look at pictures, they try to make it look easy to carry it, but in reality it's not very easy because it's still the same weight. And in order to do something about it, many of these folding bikes, including the Brompton, some of the Turn models, have attached training wheels in the rear, and they arrange the fold in such a way that you sort of line up the two wheels in some arrangement next to one another, and that would allow you to theoretically just drag the bike around or push it around on the wheels without having to lift all the 25 pounds, or in some cases 30 pounds. Especially if you have an electric, then it is probably going up to 40 or 45 pounds. The problem with that is that this two-wheel alignment rarely really works. It's not really an ideal arrangement. Better, in my opinion, is to separate the frame instead of to fold it. There is some convenience to folding it, but if you separate the frame, you have no joints. There is no joints that you can rack or bend, and you are separating not just the bike, but the weight of the bike. So you can carry each piece one by one. You can pack it into a car. You can, if you live in a 5th floor walk-up, you can just take half the bike, which is only 13 pounds, and very easy to carry. And you can just carry it up and down the stairs. It's not going to be that much of a problem. And this is an older frame I'm showing you. This is in fact probably from the 70s, a really old frame. This was before the space frame redesign of the Brompton. And you can see how easy it is. You can even roll it on a single wheel. There's no need for training wheels, and there's no joints to be destroyed just in case. So you have to pack it into a suitcase. If you're flying with it, you can easily pack one piece in and then pile on some underwear or sweater or whatever, and then put on the other piece. It's very unlikely that the frame will be bent, even if the TSA abuses the luggage. And that's something they do a lot. I mean, the people at the airport, not just the TSA, but the people who handle the luggage handlers, all these people, they have abused so many packages. So here is somebody's girlfriend who had her testicles squeezed at the airport by the TSA. So flying is never easy, and folding bikes are definitely an easier way to fly than a full-sized diamond frame bicycle, which would require a separate box that you would have to pay for. But if I had to choose between flying with a folding bike as opposed to a separable frame, I would definitely choose the separation of the frame into two completely independent parts, and then I can pack my underwear here and my sweaters here, and then put on the other part, and then my shirts on the top, and all the fabric is going to protect the two pieces from trauma. The Molten might be the only upright bicycle that has a dedicated windshield attachment available, especially a windshield of this size. There are some windshield options made by third parties, such as Zipper, for other bikes, or even generically that could be attached to a variety of bikes, but those are much smaller. This is a big windshield that really grew out of the original speed records of the Molten. You can see that the windshield is tall enough to cover the face of the rider. So it's not some little third-party thing that we are talking about, but something that is much bigger. It's more comparable to the wind protection you would be getting from a full-sized scooter, or if you had a Vespa with an extra large windshield attached to it. And you can see here that this has the Molten but also the Zipper logo. So this is really a co-production between Molten and Zipper, and it is something that grew out of these extreme high-speed experiments which established the Molten as the fastest upright bike on the market, with speed records above 50 miles an hour. So it's not only that you have this unique ability to buy wind protection, but it also helps with speed, because a bicycle that has some kind of a fairing is always going to be faster than a bike that has none. And obviously road bikes are without the windshield, and none of the races allow anybody to attach one, just as professional races such as the World Championship or the Tour de France do not allow small wheel bikes to compete. And there's a reason why, because the small wheel would wipe the floor with the full-size bicycles. Same thing, a bicycle that has a fairing. You can see the Zipper fairing being offered here. That's Zipper. I believe this is an American company. It would cost you a few $100s to get one, especially with the attachment, and it is available for several of the Molten models, but you have to check with the company before you buy it if you want a windshield attachment. Feature of the Molten that I would like to talk about is that it is available with a belt drive, and the belt drive model actually happens to be the cheapest. You are looking at maybe $2,500 depending upon where you are buying the bike. This is the bike. It is very basic by Molten standards, obviously, but at $2,500 or so, it is price competitive. You couldn't even get a monocoque Birdie for this kind of money. That's over $3,000 at this point. As far as the Brompton is concerned, if you're buying a Brompton with 6 speeds, a decent extra paint job, something with a gradient on it, or even the lacquer, it's going to be above $2,000. No question about that. And so this is a rare feature. The Bike Friday actually has this, but the Bike Friday bicycle is not nearly as special as the Molten. It has, it has never won a speed record, so it's not really a competitive bicycle. And there's no question that if I had to choose between spending $2,500 on a Molten or a Bike Friday, the money would be going toward the Molten bike. There are some articles online that discuss this model. It's very hard to get. You would have to get in touch with the Molten company itself to get it. You see this bubble suspension. Even the cheapest models have that. It's the same suspension that the original Mini Cooper had, and it is a very light way of doing something that is just as good as a modern coil and shock suspension system. Here's a black version of it. This is the TSR2, the Molten TSR2. Now, just as an interesting tidbit, I should mention that Kinetics in Scotland is selling a belt drive kit for the Brompton. It's kind of cheap, looking at £400, so I assume this does not include an upgrade of the hub gear. If you want an upper end Shimano, let alone something like a German product, that will probably be a lot more expensive. But this entire rear triangle on the Brompton would have to be replaced to do the belt drive. and it's kind of a risky, untested thing to do. But if you are already running a hub gear in the rear, then I don't see anything wrong with it. I think that belt drives are, for the most part, great if you don't want a derailleur. If you want a derailleur, then obviously you cannot do this. And in this case, the front chain wheel would have to be replaced, the entire rear triangle, and the cog, obviously, this whole drivetrain. It's interesting that the derailleur is actually the stock Brompton, but they just changed the cogs on it. Very interesting, something to be looked at. So this is it for what makes the Moulton such a special bike. I think it's the top of the line for upright bicycles. Am I going to give up my Brompton to get one? Maybe if I get a bonus, some nice fat project that gives me a check for a few $1,000s. But other than that, the upright bike itself has its shortcomings. So I think if I wanted to get another bike in addition to my Brompton, that would not be an upright bicycle of any sort. In any case, if you're interested in these topics, keep following the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.